barricades whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right, everybody, let's hope that I have sound. Let's see. I'm going to go pull this over real quick. Give me a thumbs up or something to let me know that we have sound before I get too far like I did last time where everybody's like, I can't hear you. I had somebody actually shut off the stream because they were like, sorry, your sound's not working tonight. Later. Do I have sound? Sound is great. Okay, let me go back up to the top and say some hellos, talk a little bit about tonight. We got an open panel discussion. We got some invites out there to some people. I know that there's some dial-in callers that are going to drop in, so I'm just waiting for them to join backstage. In addition, by the way, I am kind of inviting people to come up on stage if you want. This is a great opportunity because we are super small audience right now. I'm going against the big wigs right now. Birdie's on and he's doing his thing, and maybe, you know, another big creator or two is on. And so we're going to have a small little intimate crowd, which, by the way, I have to say, thank you so much for those of you who are loyal to the channel and would rather come here and hang out here when there's the big dudes going on. And it means a lot to me. It really does. So I appreciate that very much. And here's the great thing. If you're here, this is a great opportunity to get a one-on-one, get your questions answered. I hope that you'll put them in there. I've even given you an invite link to try to connect with your computer. You don't have to go on camera. You can go on with just a microphone if you would like. And by the way, I want to say this, like, I know that just recently I had a video drop this morning where I was busting someone's nuts for calling me a liar, essentially. I think I sometimes give the wrong impression. I've gotten a person or two to say, could you tell Devil's Advocate something, because I'm afraid he's going to rip me a new ass. I really don't attack people. And so if you feel that you're afraid to come on and challenge me on something, when I attack, it's because somebody is an asshole to me. So just don't be an asshole. You can totally disagree with me. 100% you can disagree with me. Just don't be an asshole about it. And I will treat you 100% fairly. And by the way, as an example, I accidentally maybe got angry and called Payne in the Idaho 4 case a fucking asshole or a fucking bastard or something like that. I would interview that guy and sit down and have a beer with that guy. I want to hear what he has to say. I want to talk to him. I would treat him respectfully. I would treat Judge Hippler respectfully in the Idaho 4 case. I would respect Steve Gonzalez, any of the people that you think I'm busting their nuts every single day. Look, me challenging the official narrative doesn't mean that I won't hear you out. I want to hear you out. I want to sit down and say, and I'm not being sarcastic. It's not a lot. I'm going to challenge you and run you over the coals. I literally want you to sit down and tell me how I've got this wrong and convince me. And if I've got it wrong, and if my questions are unfounded, I would love to hear it. And I'm not being sarcastic. I literally want to hear that. And I want to be able to say, wow, maybe I missed something. I can look you in the eyes as a human being and I can say, maybe I missed something, man. I'm sorry. So I'm a really, really forgiving person. Hell, in high school, some guy banged my girlfriend and I still was friends with that guy. That's the kind of guy I am. I like literally, you almost can't do anything to ruin our friendship if you treat it right, if you do it right. So that was probably a little over. No, I know that was an overshare. Let me say hi to some people. Essie, by the way, was the first in, I think, tonight. Thank you, Essie, for getting there. Robin's backstage as well. And Essie and Robin are in the same house together. So thank you for hanging out. I wonder if you guys are on separate computers or are you guys on the same computer? Nicola, by the way, I keep saying Nicola or Nicola, and I keep asking how I should really pronounce it, and you never correct me. I think it's a running gag at this point. You want me to struggle with which one it is, so then I have to say it both ways. Penny from Idaho, as usual, one of the minions on my thing. I keep rubbing my nose because my nose itches for some reason, and I just freaking can't scratch it enough. Penny, she was like third in there. She's like third from Idaho. Yeah, they beat you early tonight. So I just wanted to say hi to some people who are taking the time to be here. Amanda B, that's one of our. She's like a graphic specialist for me, doing a lot of AI graphics and amazing stuff. 1-1, our law enforcement specialist, consultant, advisor, whatever you want to call him. He's here as well, even though I know it's got to be a struggle for 1-1 because I know he's a big Birdie fan and he's a big Lana from Truth and Transparency fan, and they're going live. So he's showing some supreme loyalty, not royalty, supreme loyalty to be here. By the way, I've got Jason Estes from Estes Crime Maze backstage. We still haven't worked out his camera rotation thing, so I got to see if we can figure out how to do that. We'll see if we can work on that a little bit. Oh, there he goes. He's got it almost backstage. Perfect, Jason. Yeah, I got you. You got it. I'll bring you up in a minute. We'll get Robin up here first, probably, and then bring you up in a minute. So just hold tight, brother. So I just wanted to say hi to a few other people. We've got, I know I saw other people in here, so I just want to double check. Estes, of course, backstage. I know there was somebody else I saw in here. I want to make sure that I got them and do a shout out and can talk to them. Cheryl Fitzgerald from Florida. That's another regular of the show. Thank you for spending the evening with me and checking things out. Again, this is a great time to ask one-on-one questions and really dive into my thinking on things. Molly Bledsoe as well. Hey, DA, welcome. Thank you for saying hi. And by the way, I should pin these comments. Why am I not showing the comments when people say, hey, DA? And so thanks for checking that out. What else do we have? There's a lot of, here we go. Mystic, caught one on time. So here's the great thing. I love it when people make the live for the very first time. Robin and I will do our best to make sure you're highlighted. If you have any kind of question that's on your mind, if you are here live, this is what I would love for you to do. I would love for you to ask any question. I will not chew your ass, even if it's a question that challenges my story. So please ask. Julia Rose, thank you for coming in tonight. I appreciate that. And and then we got another name here. Deborah Lindsay. Is that the one I just tried? Hey, from South Carolina. Hey, isn't Ali Benevento from South Carolina? I haven't seen anything from Ali Benevento for a while. But anyway, South Carolina, welcome into the house. Thank you for checking us out. I'm going to bring Robin up on stage real quick. We got, again, we got Estes Crime Maze behind scene. He's been a regular kind of on and off on here. But let's pull in this and unmute her. Are you there,
Hello,
Robin?
everyone.
Yay! Party time. Excellent. I'm so full of pop references. Do you have anything to say about your week or the day? You know what? Here's the thing, by the way. We're moving. Okay, a few things before you bring Estes Crime Maze up. A few things. We're moving to trying to do a more consistent every single day live. I realize that I'm going live against the big wigs, and so the audience is going to be a little smaller. Again, that's a great thing for you because you get to hang out with us. Mama J, thank you for saying evening, Lee, and the mods and the chat. Thank you for checking in, Deb, and we already got Deborah Lindsay, so thank you for checking that out and saying hi to us. But we're trying to make a more consistent every single day thing. Sundays I kind of reserved to take off, so that might be the only day I'm gone. But another change we're going to make is I've always been going for a long time. I've been going live with Birdie Bombshells on Monday nights. A little while ago, he wanted to change the format where we didn't dual stream. It was either I was a guest on his show or he was a guest on my show. I believe we're going to move back to dual streaming because a bunch of you got confused. They're like, hey, Devil's Advocates, you said you're going to go live every single night. And here it is Monday. Where the hell are you? I looked for you and I couldn't find you. Well, I was on Birdie's show and Birdie wasn't co-streaming. Now, I think he and I are going to go back to co-streaming so that I can do that as well. Any other comments there, Robin, before I bring Jason Estes up from Estes Crime Maze?
No, just if you're coming on in, make sure you like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We would love to have you stick around. There's going to be a lot of great content Lee is going to bring your way with his cases, so you don't want to miss out on that. And just hope everyone's having a wonderful evening.
Yeah, excellent. So there is Jason Estes from Estes Crime Maze. How you doing there?
Awesome. Thank you. I just love your production, you and Robin, what you've done with the channel, with the video, the music, and a lot of people have made great comments on that. So you guys are rocking it, man.
There's been a lot going through the evolution of this channel. And I think it was a user on my channel called Cat Farm, I think, that used some kind of AI tools and created that music intro, which was fantastic. And, you know, Amanda B has been doing graphics for me, and it's all just been a labor of love. I'm not paying these people to do it. It's just passion for the show. So it's super awesome. And I know last I looked, you're still building that channel to get to the point where you can monetize your channel. Are you getting close now? Are you over? Did you push over the limit yet, or how are you doing?
I'm getting close. I think I haven't done any videos hardly at all. So I've got to take your lead and start doing some more videos, and hopefully be honored to invite you as a guest on my channel sometime. Devil's Advocate.
It's more work than you think, man. It's more work than you think. It's hilarious. Like as an aside, and I know this isn't, we'll get into the cases that I cover here in a minute, but as an aside, it's funny how many people inadvertently show disrespect to me by saying, oh, you're doing this YouTube thing. Well, I didn't know it was so easy. I'm going to go do that then. And I'm like, if you think the YouTube thing is easy, you are missing the boat. Like, it's not like you can just jump in there and you're going to be rolling in cash because you want to talk about gardening and everybody and their dog is going to sign up and watch your gardening channel because if I can do it, then you can do it, is your attitude. So it's a lot harder than people think. And it's a little disrespectful to act like, oh, if Lee can do it, then anybody can do it. But anyways, not to say
nobody has your charisma, Devil's Advocates, DA. Nobody.
No, that's not. Well, maybe not my exact charisma, but there's certainly people eating my lunch on charisma. So let's see. We've got other people that will be joining us backstage. Like I said, I know one's going to join us. Joe from State of the Deep is going to join us again for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Birdie drops in after his show ends. I wouldn't also be surprised if Pete Altieri from Murder Metal Mayhem might drop in. We talked recently, and he liked the idea. So we may see him. Who knows who we'll see? We got a lot of open invites. And if you're in the chat, by the way, tonight, and you want to drop in, let me make sure that I post that link again. I think it's this one right here. You could click on that and it will take you to the backstage area. And then I'll bring you up and we'll figure out what you're all about if I've never seen you before. Or if I have seen you before, then I already know what you're about and we'll just get talking. All right. let's pull some slides up and start talking about what I want to talk about tonight. Let's see. I'm going to add this to the stage. Oh, but apparently I have to remove something from this. I got to work through the logistics. By the way, again, it's so easy. If you can do it, anybody can do it. So yeah, it's there is, again, I talked about Amanda B and her amazing graphics. I know it's a little dark, by the way. I know it's a little dark. Like people kind of, I've been told so many things on this channel. You know, Devil's Advocates, if you would stop saying the F-bomb, you'll be a way bigger channel. You know, Devil's Advocates, if you would slow the hell down on your speech, you'd be a way bigger channel. You know, Devil's Advocates, if you would drop the whole Devil's theme, you'd be a way bigger channel. You know, Devil's Advocates, like I get told every day what I need to do differently to be a bigger channel. Unfortunately, playing Devil's Advocates with the official narrative is my thing. And yes, it kind of dovetailed into when I set up my memberships. I had imp levels because I was like, oh, it's kind of like the Devil's thing. And I had a nickname in high school called Lucifer because my name is Lee. And a buddy of mine called me Lucifer, and I thought it was funny. I have a deep, deep, deep religious background, by the way. So I know what I'm doing in this space. I feel like I'm entitled to use this a little bit this way because I have earned my degree in religion, if you will. So, but anyways, the point being is that I don't mean to offend anybody of a Christian persuasion or any religion for that matter. This theming is just because I kind of like playing Devil's Advocates, and then the whole Devil's thing just kind of dovetailed into really, I love the dark imagery, the red, the oranges. I just think it looks slick. It's more of an aesthetic thing. So don't take us too freaking seriously is what I got to say about that. So let's talk a little bit about my cases real quick. If you haven't watched my channel, one of the things that I will tell you about is I do cover 5 cases. I want to say again, reminder that I'm going to try to do lives every single night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with the possible exception of Sunday, because I tend to have friends come over and play cards on Sundays. And so maybe I'll do a pre-recorded show on Sunday, or if anything comes up and I can't be here for my weekly night or nightly show, I'll do a pre-recorded, and then maybe some of my guests can jump on when I'm gone, perhaps, and they can fill in for me and hang out. We'll figure out how that's going to work in the future. Coming up, Joe from State of the Deep. We just did a big special on CIA cutouts. I know Jason Esty, you said you wished that you had been part of that CIA cutouts conversation. Is that right?
Yes, I would have loved to have joined on that. I sort of studied the CIA at times, but I'm glad you guys put out a video, and if you don't mind, I'll quote Truman later on the CIA, what he thought of the organization.
Oh, hell, do it now. This is a great time to do that. I loved the quote you shared with me. Yeah.
Yes, I forget I don't know what year in his it was at the end of his presidency. Sorry, and he said, you know, the CIA is a mysterious, sinister agency that's casting a shadow on our position of historic freedoms. Think about that statement, folks. And then we, of course, know they've really, unfortunately, become out of control by and large in the last few decades and have their own Air Force now. And I think it's important to educate people from time to time on some of these intel agencies and try to keep them honest as best as we can, right?
Yeah. And I think, in the future, Joe and I had a lot of big, deep topics. So at the heart of this channel, the Devil's Advocates, it's mostly covering true crime and the true crime cases, to me, that I feel like there's an agenda being sold by the media that's maybe not telling the whole story. That's the cases I tend to follow. But what Joe and I learned when we met at CrimeCon 2025 in Aurora, Colorado, when we met each other for the first time, one of the things we realized is that every single one of these true crime cases has a deeper story behind it. It's you always have the questions about, is this a psyop? And people are like, what the hell's a psyop? And, is this related to big banking? And is there a political agenda of this? And did the FBI get involved? And is the FBI covering this up? And so it's almost impossible not to cover a true crime case without digging into some of those big, deeper topics. And so that's what the Deep Devils is about. Deep Devils just being a mashup between Devil's Advocates and State of the Deep, which is Joe's channel. And again, I expect that Joe will drop in on us here in a little bit as well. Again, Joe and I are going to be going to Idaho very, very shortly. November 12th, of course, is the anniversary. If you want to, I hate that anniversary, right, of the 4 murders in Idaho. Yes, I don't say the word unaliving. I say murders. I'm not afraid to take a little bit of hit on the algorithm if that's what happens when you talk like an adult, but I'm not going to say,
good for you.
I'm not going to say SA instead of sexual assault. If somebody's sexual assaulted, we're going to talk about it. And so that's my show. It's another thing that for those that Thank you, by the way, Jason, for saying good for me, because it's a choice that I made a while ago. I could play the game and I could use all these softened words to help the algorithm, and it would help me. But that's why I get so personally angry when people say that I'm doing things for clickbaiting. If I was doing clickbaiting, or if I was all worried about the numbers, I would be saying unalived. 4 people were unalived.
Yeah, it's funny, devil's advocates, if I may real quickly, Nancy Grace, to her credit, even though a lot of us, bash her at times for some of her lies, but she, or seemingly lies, but anyway, she sort of set Joel on Surviving the Survivor straight with that word unaliving. So she said, to your point, she said, unaliving? It's suicide, like referring to the Ellen Greenberg case, so.
Yeah.
When they were talking suicide or murder. So, sorry.
And it bothered me so much. The first time I heard it, I didn't realize, because I guess me being old, by the way, I got called a boomer the other day. I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, by the way, just to let you know, for those who think I'm a boomer. I'm not a boomer. But anyways, the point.
Robin likes that.
Oh God. I just like, I'm trying to struggle to my youth as long as I can. Don't put me a decade older than I should be. That just bothers me. But anyways, the point being is that, when I first heard the term unaliving on TikTok, I was like, what the hell is, I was so mad. I was like, that's not even a word. You don't unalive somebody. That's not even a word. Where do they? And then I realized everyone was doing it. And I went to a friend. I was like, since when did we call murder unaliving? Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Sure. And then I realized they're all playing games with the algorithm, and I get it. And to be fair, some channels grow faster because they say unaliving. Now, the thing I think is asinine, and okay, I'm going to try to get off this. I swear. I think it's asinine. They're using AI to police these things anyways. You don't think AI knows that the word unaliving is just a substitute for murder? So why isn't it bothered by unaliving? If their concern is you talking about murder, then they know unaliving is a substitute for it, and just ban that word in the AI as well. Yeah. Like, I don't even understand how it's a thing. It bugs the piss out of me. And I don't.
Some of the intel agencies, perhaps, I think they want to, unfortunately, desensitize us to some of these words or something.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it cheapens things. Yes. When somebody's been sexually assaulted, to just say that they've been SA'd is disrespectful to the victim. But
I agree.
You can't say it.
Excuse me, DA. I'm just going to, believe it or not, I got to take my shirt off and change. I'm scratching my neck. Something's going on.
We're
okay?
Let's go wild. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be half naked, but not tonight. Another time. 1 sec.
Okay, sounds good. Anyways, in the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about the Idaho tour coming up. We'll talk about Idaho 4, because I had two big videos in the last day. Robin knows our videos popped off pretty well for this channel.
Oh my God, yeah.
We had a video on planted evidence about why I'm convinced Ann Taylor was saying the knife sheath was planted. And I feel like she made a strong argument for the knife sheath was planted. They lied about when they knew about Brian Koberger. They couldn't place Brian Koberger in the house. And so they were going to place Brian Koberger in the house with DNA evidence that they didn't want to have to explain in a court to a jury how they got to that DNA. And so they used it to get the probable cause affidavit to make the arrest. And then they basically used circumstantial evidence to say, look, we've got overwhelming circumstantial evidence. We don't need to show the DNA evidence. And yet America still repeats to this day, Brian Koberger pled guilty because his DNA was in the house. It drives me insane. We've again, another video that popped off is the Kopaka thing. And by the way, let me tell you a really, really cool thing that happens. And I knew this was going to happen, and it kind of happened before when I was blogging years and years ago. There's a certain point when you become established enough that people start reaching out to you, and you get cool things like, I happen to know the Kopakas, and I can give you receipts to prove that what you're saying is correct. That's happening now. People have said, look, the Kopakas never came from Pennsylvania. They're never in Pennsylvania. And I've had people reach out to me now saying, not only are you correct, but I can show you the receipts and prove it because I happen to know them or know whatever. And that's a cool part. That's where the channel is starting to get to, is that people who know people are starting to come forward and say, hey, you're onto something, and I can help you make that connection. So that's very cool. I think that's going to be great for us in the future. That's going to continue to grow. If you I hope that you guys have watched me long enough to know that I will not lie to you about shit. I do not say stuff for sensationalism. I come with receipts, and I get really mad when people question me on my receipts. So when and if it comes that time and someone says they know something, before I share it with you, I will have vetted it and make sure that what they're telling me is verifiable and it's legit, and then we'll talk about it when it gets to that point. I'm just going to take a look through the chat, by the way, again, so I can make sure that we know.
We have a couple of new people, I believe.
No Chance. Is that a new person? That seems like a new person. I don't know what No Chance said, oh my God, to, because that moment is long gone, but they were, oh my God, and something. So that's good. And then there was Amazing Dead Man 24. That's a new name I haven't seen before. Brian is Innocent. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much. And is there another one I missed, Robin? Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Again, if you're new here, I do want to spotlight you. So if you've got a question or a comment, other than just, BK is innocent, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that comment. But if you want to ask a question, challenge me on something, if you've seen one of my videos and you had a question and I didn't quite satisfy your answer, let me know and I'll make an attempt to address that. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next slide real quick. And then I know Jason Estes has a lot of concern or a lot of interest in the Idaho 4 case. I know that he's multifaceted, and so I know you're also watching other cases. Which one of these cases, Jason Estes, are you most following? Other than Idaho? Out of
these?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say the Tyler Robinson, but more in the aspect of Charlie Kirk and what really happened to him. I guess I would relate obviously to Tyler Robinson as well. Yes.
Yeah, and the reason why it's called Tyler Robinson instead of Charlie, because here's the thing with the Charlie Kirk situation, he's obviously the big name, right? He's the big name, and I even thought, like, why aren't I calling my series Charlie Kirk because of the big name? Tyler Robinson's a lot lesser of a name, but the problem is that every single other person on this list are the accused in these crimes. Tyler Robinson is the accused shooter of Charlie Kirk. So while Charlie Kirk has the name, Tyler Robinson is slowly becoming a household name because everybody knows that Tyler Robinson is the one that's accused of killing Charlie Kirk. So there's no question Charlie. And again, this goes back to the whole you clickbaiting son of a bitch. You just do things for trying to make money off of people. If that was the case, everything would be about Charlie Kirk, and I'd be saying Charlie Kirk every 2 seconds. But Tyler Robinson is the one that's on trial for the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And believe me, I do plenty with Charlie Kirk, plenty. Cool. But Tyler Robinson is the case. So yeah, the two ones you probably are most interested in is the Idaho 4, which was a big one. That's how you and I kind of met. We first started kind of interacting with each other when you had questions about things that I was saying on the Idaho 4. And I know that you have a slightly different opinion about it. And again, there is zero, and I think it's a mutual thing with you. There is zero disrespect if I don't agree exactly with the way you think it happened, and I think that you're the same. Yeah, you get ready to throw some punches. Oh yeah, I don't even have you up on screen, so we can let's put you on full screen so you can see your amazing throwing punches at me. But anyways, the point being is that there you go, like a boxing stance. I can. Anyways, the point being is that there's no disrespect to the fact that we have different opinions. In fact, I love that we have some different opinions and we can challenge each other on those things. So Idaho 4 was the big case, and I know you are also interested in the Charlie Kirk case. I know you're starting to listen more and more to the Luigi Mangione case. I think you said that, hey, you're probably the top guy on Luigi Mangione. So thank you for giving me that props the other day. Do you know anything about the LISK case or the Mickey Steins, or are you just kind of real casual on those?
Oh, somewhat casual, but I'm still at the same time very interested in the Mickey Steins. I've actually followed it pretty closely. And yeah, I think I have some opinions on that, as most people do. And we saw what took place, and I think I might know why Mickey did that. But yeah, it's a fascinating, wild case.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear. I mean, if I don't know whether to cover that now or because I'm afraid that once we start talking Idaho 4, it could easily dominate the entire evening. And the Mickey Steins case could get swept under the rug. Do you want to pitch just a little bit of what you think about Mickey Steins case or not? It's up to you.
Yeah, I could attempt to. I'm not sure how well I could articulate because I didn't come prepared to talk about Mickey
Sure.
Steins today. But
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
No, I can't get over the. Obviously, it's a tragic case, like all these cases are. Although not the Idaho 4, I can explain why later, in my opinion. But no, Mickey Steins. I think I can't get over the phone call to his daughter. Right, a lot of people were to this day, I'm sure, still wondering why would you phone your daughter just before you're going to, take out this judge in the most heinous way, or shooting him all that. So I think. I could be wrong. The daughter's spoken out and she says she wants to claim to the world, and rightly so. She's saying that she had nothing to do with having sex in any way with the judge. And I hope that's true. But I think there's something very insidious going on. I think the daughter could be involved, could have seen the judge in some way that way. I hope not. But I wouldn't put it past the judge, in trying to get, one up on all these people, even Stein's beautiful daughter. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I hope I am. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on that case there.
No, I appreciate you sharing it. And by the way, we got Joe from State of the Deep backstage right now. He's the one that I did the CIA cutouts with for the Deep Devils episode. He's backstage. We'll bring him up in just a moment. But I think, no, you have a great point. And here's the thing that drove me nuts. I was listening to oh gosh, I can't even remember who it was. There was a particular News Nation, maybe it was reporter, who was showing, and I showed this on my live the other night, Lila Steins saying, hey, look, I had nothing to do with this. The judge and I had no relationship, that, stop the rumors right now kind of thing. And the reporter's thing was, basically to say, everyone now needs to shut the hell up. She just told you it has nothing to do with her. So everyone who talks about it now is an asshole because she just told you it didn't have anything to do with that. And I'm like, do you really think that just someone saying something is true ends the discussion? Like that, and she's literally acting like we now have to shut up because you heard it right from the daughter's mouth. I didn't have anything to do with that judge. Well, I'm sorry. That case has the rumors that some people were threatened. Some people may be killed if they speak out. So some people may be terrified to say that they had anything to do with that case. So I'm sorry, News Nation, that I just don't take it for face value that because so-and-so told you they didn't do it, that just ends it. Because let me remind you, in the Idaho 4 case, Brian Koberger told you he didn't do it, and that didn't fucking stick with you as a good answer. So if the answer is once they tell you they didn't do it, then they didn't do it, then why didn't that stay true for any other convicted person that you want to convict? So the whole thing is just asinine. Don't tell me who I can ask questions about or question by saying, well, they just told you they didn't do it, so now you got to shut the hell up. And yet if somebody else does it that's accused, you're like, hey, they did it anyway, so I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just asinine.
Yeah.
Asinine.
I agree.
It's just, and them trying to shame people into not talking about things because they decided who's reputable and who's not reputable. I can't handle it. It drives me insane.
I wish Mickey Steins, looking back at that tape, I wish he would have beat up the judge. We know the judge was a scumbag, the videotapes, what he did to some of these women, the manipulation, the power play over these women. I think it's not just alleged, right? It's been proven, I'm pretty sure. But I wish Mickey would have just beat him up and not fire a gun and murder him, all these bullets into him. But maybe he was paranoid too. Sorry, what were we going to say, DA?
Well, no, I think, again, I mean, we're getting ahead of, I'm going to bring Joe up here real shortly. I agree. Here's the thing. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks Mickey Steins knew what was going on. There was allegations that entire courthouse, that entire county, it was a known thing that law enforcement was using girls in this way, that deputies and sheriffs were using, and he's a sheriff. Mickey Steins is a sheriff. And one of his deputies, literally one of Mickey Steins' deputies, was on trial for sodomizing a woman in the judge's chambers. You don't think that may have been happening with Mickey Steins' understanding? And there's a part of me, and I don't want to get too far ahead of it, and people that aren't familiar with the case are going to be like, what the hell are they talking about? There's a part of me that thinks to myself, this is the reason why Nikki Stein's blew a gasket and murdered him, because he knows exactly what they're doing. They, as in maybe him, maybe he knew all about what they're doing to girls in that prison system and how they're using the women in that prison system. And then all of a sudden he finds out his daughter's also being used in the same way. He would lose his shit. That means, in some sad way, that maybe Nikki Stein's isn't completely innocent here, that maybe he also was okay with it until it was his own daughter. And then all of a sudden he's fucking like, oh, you're doing that to my daughter too? Fuck you. I'm going to kill you. You know, so there's a lot to that story we don't know about. And I think it's deeper than people think. All right. I've got both he's law enforcement, NYPD, not officially representing NYPD. I'm calling him an advisor to the channel. I ask a lot of legal questions about, like, for example, when we saw Rex Heuermann, the alleged Long Island serial killer, having a beer on the Long Island Railroad. I'm like, you can't just drink a beer on the Long Island Railroad. And then NYPD's like, yeah, you can actually drink a beer on the Lear. And I'm like, really? Like, you can't do that shit in Washington State. But anyways, we're going to bring up Joe and from State of the Deep. We just did the CIA cutout thing. Joe, how you doing? We'll let 1-1 simmer in the background just a little bit while we talk a little bit. How you doing, Joe? Yeah.
Can you make me the headless voice? And maybe take the parental advisory off so we can see JJ.
Yeah. Can we still hear your voice, Robin? Did I lose Robin's voice?
Yeah, so far she's talking.
I not only made her headless, I made her disappear. So anyways, for the moment, we'll let it go. Robin probably won't mind if she's just gone for a while.
Joe, you didn't get turned into CIA, did you? Those shades look really mysterious and sinister.
Welcome to the revealing.
He's got the Pavarotti look going for him today.
Oh God.
You know.
What's up, SD's Crime Maze?
Hi, Joe. Great to see you, man. I'm glad you and DA talked about the CIA, man, and kudos to both of you for doing that. I've been waiting for a long time for some YouTubers to discuss CIA in a profound way. You're right there in your United States, and most people don't do it.
I'm wearing a disguise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would wear a disguise as well. In fact, if you wear that when you go to Idaho, I'm not sure that'll be good for you or bad for you to be dressed up like Pavarotti when you go there. But
you know, if we're going to solve the case, I have to, represent.
Well, yeah, I mean, most people think you already have solved the case if you wear that outfit right there. And again, I don't mean to bust Pavarotti's nuts. Like, I really do have a lot of respect for that guy. I mean, and I'll tell you where things that I don't like, and hopefully he's okay with that as well. Like, I don't like that almost every single video, the words first out of Pavarotti's thing is, hold on to your hats, folks. I just busted this thing wide open. Like, you can't bust it open every single day. Like, you can't bust it open every single day. So while I love that he does some deep dives, I feel like it's a little oversell to say, this is it. I just busted it open again today. And then 12 hours later, now I just busted it open again today. And now I just busted it open again today. But anyway.
Right. That's why it's kind of fun to take the piss out of him a little bit.
Right. And I love the guy. Like, I would enjoy, I think I would enjoy having a beer with the guy and getting him on a show and shooting the shit with him. I don't have any anger towards Pavarotti. And so I think, to be fair, I think that people rib me about some of the things I do, like talking a million miles an hour and how to have to cut down on the caffeine and all that shit. It's the same kind of thing if I bust his nuts a little bit from time to time about breaking the case every time or busting it wide open and solving the case and so on and so on. Oh, look, Angela K said, I made it late, but I'm here. Thanks for welcoming in. And again, please drop questions. I would love Robin. Robin doesn't have a voice. How the hell do I get Robin a voice without having her have some real estate on the screen? I don't even know how to do that. Shit. And Robin just like unmuted herself. I'm gonna add her back to the stage, and because I don't know Robin, but I can put.
You used to do it. I don't know what happened. You used to do it, but yeah.
You know what? Because here's the thing: if I do this, you're there still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If I'm showing a slide, it's not a problem. But when I show presenters, you're going to be one of the presenters. So, you know, if I
Okay.
put something else on the screen, you're there. But
Okay.
anyways,
That's fine.
we've been making one sit in the background, and you know, we value our law enforcement's time. Let's bring law enforcement up on the screen. Hey, 1-1, how you doing? You there?
Yay, 1-1.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Dan. Hi, Etsy. Hi, JJ. Hi, Robin.
How you-
Pav. Holy shit, Pav.
Hey, what's up,
tonight? Are
1-1?
you having-
Hi, Robin.
Hello. How are you,
Glad to join
Joe?
us.
I'm good.
All right, I'm taking a look real quick to make sure we're not missing anything in the chat. That's a good layout. She can see everyone. Yeah, that's cool. You're right. Like when it was the four of us, the person in the bottom left corner got overlaid by my parental advisory. But this one right here, to make room for everything and the five of us, it like shifts things. So that's the key. Like if we have four people, someone's getting shit on in the lower corner. And if we have five, we're looking pretty good. And if we get six, we may be in trouble. We'll just have to play with the formats until I find out what works. I can always drop the chat out so that the chat's not overlaying somebody's picture. Or I can always drop the parental advisory. But anything on your mind tonight, 1-1, before? I mean, we're going to talk a little bit of all my cases. Yeah.
Well, with the Idaho case, this guy Cruz is very interesting. I know there's a few different creators or whatever like looking into him. So this guy Cruz is if going through the documents. I guess he's known as cigarette guy.
Yeah.
So apparently, so what's highly interesting about this guy is he apparently has a prior criminal record of like doing burglaries and whatnot, and he's got a history, something with assaults and with a knife and all kinds of stuff. So it's I don't know, another name that's interesting in the case.
Right. Here's the thing. This is an open format, so I hope people take this the right way. Here's the thing. I had never heard of Mowich until Pavarotti came up with that.
Right.
Here it is. This is the guy that did it. It's Mowich. He died in the hospital recently. It's the thing they're covering up. It's Mowich now. It's Mowich. And that ran for a while. And now it's this new guy, Cruz. It's Cruz. And I'm like, every time I hear a new name, my brain starts to shut down. I'm like, why is it after all this time, 3 years later, we're coming up with even new names? And maybe it's just a mental block on my part, but it's like, it generates excitement for people to hear a new name, but it's at the end of the day, it starts to feel like, really, like if this was the guy, this is the first time we're going to hear about him 3 years after the case. And that's the first time we're going to hear about him. And this is going to be it. We're going to blow the lid off and this is going to solve the case. This is the guy it was all the time. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, am I making any sense that every time I hear one of these new person's name, it's like, there's a mental block of me. Like, do I really want to go down a rabbit hole of just another name? Like we've already got 37 theories on this. Do I need another name? But I don't know.
Right.
Good
Well,
point.
the thing that's interesting though about this Cruz guy though is that his DNA does matches the cigarettes or whatever.
Right, but-
some cigarette
but-
butt. So he
And you probably
he's the
watch a
name
lot
that's
more.
there. But
Right.
Right.
But you watch a lot more videos, even if his DNA is matched to a cigarette butt. What else ties him to the crime scene? Is there anything or no?
no, nothing. Just he just has a prior history of violence and what I haven't heard many like smoking gun.
And I don't mean to bust anybody's nuts. I mean, I think
No.
that to not look at every piece of evidence would be a disservice as well. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a part of me that's like, I will jump all over it if enough pieces get put together that I'm like, oh, now I get it. I need to look at that guy. But when someone comes up with have you heard about so and so? And I'm like, no, and neither am I interested. Like I've already got some pretty good ideas of what happened. And until you show me enough that makes me think, okay, I need to put everything aside and go look at this because you just convinced me that is where it's at. I'm not ready to shift because I just feel like nothing's been a game changer to me. Yeah.
J Ray just reminded me of something. You're the one I think that first read that document months ago about the guy with that Jose Cruz.
I may have, but I didn't highlight him. Like I don't think I talked about him in depth. Like I may have mentioned it in the documents because I read a lot of legal documents and I read a lot. So it probably came up in the legal documents. But I highlighted him or spent a lot of time on it, and maybe and maybe J Ray can remind me of what I said, or maybe it wasn't me and J Ray's conflating with somebody else. I don't know. That's a good question. Like I'm not doubting you that I may have mentioned it in a reading of a legal document, because I do a lot of that, which is funny because you remember when I got my nuts kicked by somebody saying, well, you know what, Pavarotti reads legal documents. I'm like, fucking that's half of what I do is reading legal documents. But
Yeah,
hey, DA.
I just found it interesting though that he has a history of violence. So that's that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that he did it, but it's he's somewhat connected just to the evidence file because of his cigarette butt. Obviously that doesn't mean anything, but
yeah.
Guys,
And
I have a
said,
question for everybody. I wanted to put it out there for you guys and for everybody in the chat. Most of us feel that we haven't been told the truth. I think it's safe to say that. And so the question that I would pose to everybody is, why would they be covering something up? What is the most likely theory as far as to why they would have to cover something up and not tell the truth about the case and potential suspects? Because there's a million different threads, there's a million different potential theories about this case, right? We've pretty much all talked about them all. But what would be the most likely reason, or a few reasons, why we're not being told the truth? Because you could get really distracted by all these different theories. And I think from this point forward, I would like to see people focus on one thread, like DA, like I had spoken to you about. Pick a thread and say, what is the reason? Let's follow this thread to its conclusion, as opposed to every other week or month there's a different theory. So what would you guys think would be the most likely reason why we're not being told the truth?
Well, I mean, I'll jump in quick, just and I know Etsy's got a bunch of stuff for this too. Me personally, I think that I'm in the along with DA, I'm kind of in the Kopaka camp there. I do think he had some involvement with this. It's just too much with his phone being wiped and all that. But off the on the side of that, to answering your question, this definitely shows some kind of psyop or cover up involved with this. There's definitely a bigger picture, and I think it might be multiple cover ups going on. I think that you have possible some kind of whatever FBI operation or whatever's going on with that, with the whole drug situation or Aryan Nation or whatever, that whole angle. And then on top of that, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's definitely police corruption involved in this case, without question. From Payne to Rosenthal to all kinds of stuff. Now, because there's police corruption, does that mean that they had anything or any involvement in the PSYOP or in the murders or any? No, it could be two separate things. There's definitely police corruption, and there's definitely a cover up with that.
Let's stop there for a minute, because this is important what you're saying. My mind's going a mess. And I was talking, J Ray kind of put me on this thought, and then Angela added to some things, and some other people added to some things, like Momo's thinking. Like, I want to point out something. Here's the thing. Along the lines of finding something and then pick a thread and pull. This is what I've said from the very beginning when I said, look, it may have a drug angle, but Pavarotti's already covering the drug angle. It may be the frat thing, but somebody else was pulling the frat thread. I have felt from early on, the first video I ever made is, what if Brian Koberger was just a getaway driver? What if he brought the killer to the house, dropped him off, the killer went in, did the crimes, and then they drove away together, and Koberger never went into the house? It would explain a lot. It would explain why Koberger said, has anybody else been arrested? It would explain why Koberger said, I'm factually innocent, because he he knows he didn't go into the house. He was there, he was involved, but he didn't go into the house. It would explain a whole bunch of stuff. And when I saw the Kopacka connection, I thought, oh my God, these guys knew each other. Kopacka did it. He had the training. That was my thread. That was the thread I pulled. Now, where I'm going with that is that I still feel like a lot of other possibilities are true, but the thread that I really have been, I'm like, my gut, I'm going on instinct. My gut tells me Kopacka is a major key to this. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Kopacka's family. I realize that's somebody's son, but every killer is somebody's son. And I don't know what he was struggling with his PTSD and his emotional problems from Iraq. We know that he was shell shocked when he went there. He was scarred by what he saw, what he potentially did. That fucks people up. That's going to screw people up. So did Kopacka have some issues? The point being is that it's not meant to be disrespectful to the family. But the other part of what you just said, one is this, is it's more complex than just the why did it happen. It's also, then why was there a cover-up? And like you said, and like Joe's hinting at, let's say it was something, and I'm not saying this is my theory. Let's say Kopacka just simply was whacked out of his mind on drugs and has a bunch of skills and lost his shit and killed people in a random act of violence. And he was there to just buy some drugs and Koberger was out. Let's say that was what happened. I'm not saying that's what I think, but let's say that's what happened. But let's then also interject. What if a police officer was sleeping with one of the girls in the house, right? And it has nothing to do with the murder. But now all of a sudden people are poking in, they're asking questions. Well, why was such and such an officer in the neighborhood at that time? Why was he stopping by the house? Why does he keep showing up in Kaylee's messages? Why is this happening? And then they're thinking, fuck, like we don't need it coming out that police officers are sleeping with college girls. That's going to look really horrible for the university. Now you interject this other thing. You know what? If people think that we've got a drug problem in this place, they're not going to send their kids to our campus. So now you've got potentially the university that wants to cover shit up and like, look, this can't go down as we've got a drug problem in Idaho. So we've got to cover that up. So you've got a million reasons why people will start to cover up what has nothing to do with it doesn't mean that they were involved in the murder. But there is reasons for them to cover up the story and make it as simple. It was an outsider that came in from nowhere. It was a random act of violence. You can't make sense of it. We don't have a problem here in Idaho. We certainly don't have officers banging college students. We certainly don't have a drug problem out of control. It was just this random incel who couldn't get laid and decided to wipe everybody in the house, because that makes a lot of people stop asking questions. And so where I'm going with all that big, huge rant is I think you guys are right, which is that you could pull any of those threads. Like Joe's been telling me, personally, he's like, look, if you just pull one thread, like was Rosenthal or Rosie having a relationship with Kaylee, and are the rumors true that Kaylee might have been pregnant? If you just pulled that thread and that's all you pulled on is that thread, would you not start to get to understand a little bit better why there's a cover up? Now, again, at the end of the day, does that mean an officer killed the kids in the house? No, it doesn't mean that. But you're going to start to get to the bottom. So every single person, every independent researcher, every YouTuber out there who's laser focused on it's a drug hit, it's a frat hit, it's a, whatever freaking thing, it's Kopacka, whatever. Each one of us pulling these individual threads are helping us interlace what happened and why there was a cover up. And I think it's multifaceted. I think that's part of the reason why it's so complex, is I think there's a lot of different moving pieces at play. I'll shut up and let you guys talk.
And definitely,
it was awesome.
Multiple cover-ups. There's multiple things going on. I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear Etsy and JJ. I don't want to take up all the time. So,
what do you think? I mean, Jason S. I know that a big part of your, and again, everyone has their own theory, but I know a big part of your stuff, right, is that I'm not sure that anything even happened, that anyone died in the house, that it was all a big, huge, psyop thing. We didn't see the bodies. Like, how do you? Yeah,
I agree with you, DA. Excuse me, that there's a lot of different reasons to cover up. I guess where I differ from some of you out there is that I think part of it was a confidential informant was compromised in the house, most likely. This is speculation, that part. But it answers the question of if this was an extraction removal operation, which I think it was. The U.S. Marshals moved in and got those students out of there probably that night. They knew they were targeted. Then you've got a cover up. right? They can legally stage and have to stage a violent event. And we saw it play out. The CIA, I keep saying that highly emotionally charged narrative, Steve G, right? And his daughter and the mother. And I'm asking people out there, do you really believe everything Steve G's telling you? Do you really believe Olivia Gonzalez? Do you really believe Christy G? Do you not believe, how about Christy G when she said again, Maddie just bought a new house, as in house. So I think that also cements this huge cover up that those students are alive protected under the WITSEC program. And I could go on for another half hour on that, but.
Joe, you have mentioned before a lot of that, an interest in your side is the whole, here's the thing. We talked about this, Joe, like it, to be fair, a cop potentially having a relationship with a college student in itself would be a big reason to cover that up. The question becomes is how far would an entire department go to cover up the misdeeds of an officer that was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing? How far would the whole department go to cover up that thing? What do you think? Like, do you think that any level of the cover up that we've seen in this could start with something as simple as just trying to cover up the embarrassment of a cop got a college student pregnant?
Well, in my opinion, a lot of rumors get dropped along the way. We've all heard a million rumors about this case, right? Different tidbits that have come out and theories that have come out. If a local cop was having an affair with Kaylee, let's just say, hypothetically, and he got her pregnant, hypothetically, that is massive. That would be massive on so many levels, because that would be, number one, an obvious reason why they would not want that to get out to the public, right? And for obvious reasons, if the guy's married, if he's got a family, if because of the embarrassment it could cause to the local police, it could look bad for the school, really, because everything that happens in that area gets attached to the school and could cast a shadow on the school. And that is rumors been thrown around, but like that thread alone would be massive. Like if someone could verify that information, because that is number one, it would give motive for why somebody would potentially want to take somebody out if they didn't want to get it to come out that they were having an affair with a student and got them pregnant, number one. And I mean, look at how many true crime cases, we've heard these types of stories over and over again. And
I want to stop you for a minute, Joe, because I want to ask you this $1 million question. One of the things that's bothered me about the potential story, a lot of the rumors that Kaylee Gonzalez was pregnant, is, do we believe that would have not come out in the autopsy reports and the documents, that nobody would have ever mentioned, hey, there was a fetus involved, there was would everyone have covered up the Kaylee's pregnant angle for covering up a cop's involvement? I mean, like that's the part that has the hardest part for me in the Kaylee was pregnant story, is would it not have come out somehow in the autopsy reports or anything like that?
Well, let me I'll tell you this, and I'll give a quick anecdote. Yes, I think they would cover that up. We're talking about a small town where everybody knows each other. I live in an area that's sort of a small town, but it's surrounded by massive resorts, like huge ski resorts. And I know for a fact information about crimes that occurred in my area because of people I know, because of my job, that were lied about in the paper, in the local paper. Now, this is not, I think, I heard, or maybe things that I know for 100% absolute positive fact that they happened. And yet they lied about it in the paper because they don't want it to get out to the public, because that could affect the business of the resorts and the town, et cetera, et cetera. So do I believe that a small town like Moscow would cover up something like that to spare the town embarrassment? and the family embarrassment, absolutely, 100%. I
Yeah.
think they would.
Yeah.
How
that's
would a
fine.
cop, if I may ask, how would a cop though impregnate Kaylee? I mean, I guess it's possible, but remember her ex-boyfriend Jack is living 30 feet away. All right. She's living with Maddie, Xana, all these roommates. I can't see a cop going in there having sex with Kaylee one-on-one.
Well,
That house was always
well,
full, but I guess that's
I think
possible.
I think Jason, I think to answer that is it was well documented. Kaylee was seeing a bunch of guys. I mean, a bunch of people testified. Kaylee was the kind of person to go to a bar and go home with a random guy. She was seeing multiple guys. She may have been seeing a professor on campus. She already had there was a lot of discussions about Kaylee having relations with other guys. So I don't think it was a big secret that Kaylee and I don't think Jack DeCour could do shit about it. I mean, it was just they had moved on, and I don't think he was super happy about it. But what is he going to do? And there was even a story about Jack DeCour being okay with some guy that was dating her at some point like that. So I think he kind of knew that she was moving on. But
Thank you for enlightening me there.
Right, and I did got to mention too. Again, I'm not going to say we know. I'm not going to say we know 100%, but I'll say 99.5. So we know that Tisdale and Rosenthal were in the unmarked. They were working. They're driving around. We know where their car, can track the car. We know where they stopped, when they got based on the info that I guess it's been revealed to us, and I understand some of it, if someone lies once, they're going to lie twice. So you have to take certain things like from Molly, like with a grain of salt. Even though she was going to be used as, I believe DA accurately described, as the witness that placed Kohlberger at the house, even though she did not see Kohlberger, she pretty much described Tisdale. We pretty much can confirm almost, except it's not 100%. Rosenthal was at that house. It's like a little after 3 a.m. He went there. So there's no 911 call. There's nothing going on. Why would Rosenthal be going to the house? So does that mean that he's having sexual relations with Kaylee?
Not necessarily, but
not necessarily. But he's on duty. Why is he going to the house?
Right.
Real quick, one. I need to step away to the little boy's room, but I have a question pinned. I think this is a great question for you to answer. Question for one. Is it that hard to really believe that an officer of the law would, on the side, hook up with a younger woman or a college student or a prostitute or a CI? So take a shot at that. I'm going to remove myself from screen. I will be listening to your answer.
No, it's not hard to believe. I mean, my experience that I have here, where I work, I have 22 years of experience. I've seen. I know 100% of some officers that have, whatever. Not really abuse their power or whatnot, but they were in certain, gave them access to certain things, or maybe they wouldn't have come in contact with a certain person or whatnot, and they definitely, even while on duty, met up with people. I've seen it here, and where I am, it's not a small town, and we have a ridiculous amount of cameras and scrutiny, and where I work now, you can't take a piss without someone watching you. So now you're talking about a small town, where there's obviously a lot less supervision than where I work. Absolutely, it could. You have to remember, we're saying that they're kids, and for the most part, they're young kids. But it's not like Kaylee was 14 years old. She was a senior. She was a senior in college, And I don't remember exactly his age. Rosenthal was in his 20s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think he was in his mid-20s, right?
Yeah,
Someone
yeah,
could
he was
verify.
younger.
So you're not right. So you're not talking about. You have to remember that, and this is why you got to know some of these facts. You're not talking
Right.
about a 40 some cop that had 20 years. A 40-year-old cop.
And Kaylee was in
like,
her 20s as well.
Right. She's 21, my understanding, and Rosenthal's in his
Right.
mid-20s. So
Yeah.
absolutely, and she's a decent looking girl, whatever. I mean, how many times did we see other, that they went to the house for noise complaints, and he's pictures are being taken of her ID and all kinds of stuff. This is very easily something could have been going on. But the fact that he went to the house that night, and again, probably had nothing to do with the murders or anything at all, but the fact that he was there, and I'm sure Payne, and I'm sure a lot of other people involved in this case, they know that he was there. On top of that, I'm sure it's Rosenthal's footprints in the snow that he went around back. It's easily covered because he was there the next day. I believe his post on the 13th, maybe the 4th, I don't know, 13th or 14th. I think he was watching that. He was safeguarding the house or whatnot. So he had reason to be there. So they're not going to want that in the public. I mean, the amount of embarrassment and scrutiny that they would get, even having nothing, if he had zero to do with the murders, that this guy, while on duty, is fooling around with whoever, Kaylee or whoever in the house, and then 4 homicides happen in the house that where like
Hold on,
it just
hold
would be
on,
extremely embarrassing. Yeah,
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
You've mentioned homicide and murders, and that's what we've been fed constantly, of course,
Right.
first in corporate media. Do you ever question why didn't we see body bags? Do you ever question why didn't we see? What was the other question I meant to ask? I just lost my headspace. Do you ever question that? It sure as hell looked like a staged crime scene. Do you ever question extraction removal operations take place?
Yeah, you're definitely right about that stuff. There are stuff that we didn't see body bags. You're right about that.
No leak rod crime scene photos either, right? Yeah.
Right. The crime scene photos are garbage. They're 99% of them. 99% of them are garbage.
Completely
And Taylor even had expert I don't know I don't remember, there's a million people names. I don't remember the guy, the name of the expert, but they had an expert that was going to testify saying in their opinion that the crime scene was messed with. So it's not an opinion, this is a crime scene expert saying that it was messed with.
But I just wanted to put it out there that, as I've said many times in my videos, and you guys know this, almost Birdie said it too, almost every high profile case, you're going to get leaked raw crime scene photos or autopsy photos. And we didn't see it in this case. And you got to ask why. Doesn't that lead to the possibility, a real possibility, that there was no crime? And Christy Gonzalez told you, Maddie just bought a new house in an interview. And then she walked out of the interview because Ellie, who I got interviewed, Ellie's saying the whoever's filming the interview is probably going, you just said, cut. So I think sometimes these parents let out the real truth of what's happened,
Yeah. It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up. Say it's possible. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, DA.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to address Senior Wiskowski, who was saying that he was 15 years in the police department in Baltimore, I think it was. And I want to say I am critical of law enforcement, but I am friendly with law enforcement. And so I would love to invite you, as I'm inviting any of my guests to come up here, if you want to talk about law enforcement's perspective on this case as well. If you're another former law enforcement officer or whatever, and you want to come up, please take that link that I posted in there and come on up if you're willing to do so. If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. A lot of people are gun shy to do that. But
and I got another thing to add on too. It goes along with what Etsy's saying about the crime scene photo. So, you know, on I guess Kaylee's behalf, yeah, I've heard, you know, as what JJ said as well, you know, all the rumors and everything going on. Oh, Kaylee was on OnlyFans and this and that. What I can say about that, I have never seen any video, any photo, and I know how ridiculous, and I know people say like, oh, like what? No, I don't have an interest. It's not that I want to see the OnlyFans, but if that
Yeah.
has a possible that was some kind of somehow related to the crime or what, you know, what was going on, why is there? Do you think if with how high profile of what this case became, how is it that there's no leaked photo, there's no video of Kaylee and this OnlyFans?
Yeah.
I know how crazy, I know how crazy, and I know how disgusting some people are. You would see, like, and I just say that, you know, because any other case, whether it's someone famous or
Yeah.
not famous, maybe just someone that becomes famous because of some crazy crime that happened, you would see pictures, you would see the video of the OnlyFans all over the place. Where is it? Where's the video? Where
Right.
are the photos?
Yeah. And I agree. Like I've always had a hard time believing that there was an OnlyFans account because for the same reason you said, there's no way that wouldn't be all over the internet and everybody would have seen it if you want to see it. So yeah, I agree. I would agree with you on that as well. I want to make sure again.
BTA, I just wanted to clarify one thing. A comment that went past a while ago. I'm not saying that I think it was a police officer that carried out any crime. I was just making a point that that thread would be really significant in a case like this, because that would be something that investigators would look into if, in fact, a cop would have had a motive to do that. I'm not suggesting that that's what I think happened. And to comment on Essie's comment about the extraction, I've thought that was a possibility for a while for that same reason, because I was following this case all along. I never saw bodies being removed. You know, even if they tried to hide it, like cover it, there were people there 24/7. There were content creators there all day and all night during the beginning of that case. And there was not one single video released of bodies being removed, which any content creator that had boots on the ground there would have been all over trying to capture that, because that would have made their channel boom even more. And that was none of that was ever released. And I personally looked to find videos like that might have popped up.
Sure.
So I consider that as a possibility. And like I said last time we all spoke, the only thing that steered me away from that theory is that how well would the surviving roommates and the police officers who were on the scene when they went there, with the body cam, would they be able to fake it that they were seeing bodies? You know, that was the only thing. Just because I know human nature and how many people would be able to fake a reaction to seeing.
Well, the reactions didn't seem very authentic to me. And the 911 call, a lot of people say, sorry, go ahead, Dia.
Yeah, no, I don't want to shoot you down, Estes, on this, but here's the thing. Like I was one of the people that said when I watched the body cam footage, I heard an officer's breathing change. I saw him. I heard what I saw. I felt was legitimate struggles with what he was seeing. The breathing changed a lot. And then so I was on the opposite camp. I was like, what I saw was an actual physical reaction to what he was seeing.
I agree. It to me, I do think that something was weird with the 911 call. I agree with you. Why is there no sirens in the background? There's a bunch of stuff with the 911 call that's off, but
Changing the
also
breathing patterns. DA. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I just
Sir.
want to say, like from my experience, because I've responded to, unfortunately, homicides and crime scenes. So my personal opinion, I felt what I heard, they did seem authentic to me. They did.
Okay.
Like,
I do
Yeah, I
think
mean-
the
going like
911
walking
call
like
seemed
walking
fake.
like for instance, like walking into a room and you know you got to check the pulse and all that stuff, yes, but you know the cops, they're not idiots. They walk into the room and you see blood all over the place, and there should have
Yeah,
been
but it's
someone
all
should have
I
been.
think it was all
I know,
actors.
but I'm just saying, you see, and you have should have somewhat of a smell, and you have and the officers like oh shit, oh my god, or whatever. And you're right, these people can be trained actors or whatever, but I'm just saying, from my personal opinion, I like the video that they showed, like the officers going upstairs, into Xana's room there or whatever. I felt it was authentic.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Jason. Yeah, sure. An actor could fake what they would perceive to be the correct reaction to it, but it felt to me consistent. Like if they had not done those things, I would say, boy, it's weird that he seems to have no visceral reaction to seeing somebody who's been stabbed. Like literally, let's break down some of this graphically a little bit. One of the individuals, Kaylee, right? They said her face was so horribly disfigured that the way they described it was the officer wasn't sure what he was looking at, right? Because you couldn't even recognize. What I'm interpreting is you can't even recognize it's a human face. You're not sure what you're looking at. That kind of thing is going to leave somebody having to take some breathing to keep their cookies down or whatever, and or just to struggle with what you just saw. And that's what I felt I heard in the tape was the constant breathing of like you're trying to keep your shit in check, and again, could it be a good actor? For sure. But
we could all fake that. We could all fake that. I think,
Sure.
I think that's what happened. But Steve G, he didn't say, or I don't think Steve G ever really said those graphics about Kaylee's face. But what he did say was her nose, was busted. And you got some YouTubers that ran with that. But I'll never believe any of that. I think this case is going to go down to one thing, my friends. There was no concrete evidence when you look at this case critically that a crime even took place. We've been searching for it. No crime scene photos, again, authentic that we've seen. No body bags, no autopsy photos, sealed records, and on we go. Thank you for listening. Now I'm going to shut up.
Jules, I have to call out Jules. This is funny as shit. So we all know the running joke in Cops and Donuts. So I went out to New York and I met one NYPD. And the first thing we get done shooting, he's like, "Hey, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts." And I'm like, "What is it with you fucking Cops and Donuts?" It's hilarious. It's hilarious that you're like, he's got to keep their donuts down, not their cookies. Yeah, Cops and Donuts are a thing. And it's
just to clarify about what I said, I agree that I thought the 911 call seemed totally over the top, like acting, in my opinion. But the reason that I think that was because of the 8-hour delay, because they knew what happened much earlier, and they had to make it look like they were having a visceral reaction at that moment when they called 911, because they couldn't exactly come out and say, "We knew it happened, but we decided not to call 911 because we had to do X, Y, or Z to cover our asses." So I thought that 911 call was bogus, but I explained that away because I thought they weren't being honest about what they knew that went down. So they had to kind of play up the 911 call.
Pete from Murder Metal Mayhem agrees with you guys. The two of you that think the 911 call didn't sound real. I said that too. Pete from Murder Metal Mayhem, I think he has some expertise he's described in voice analysis, and he he never bought into it either. And I think he's right on that 911 call. And I agree with you, Joe, on that. So
Well, guys,
Yeah, it's tough. This is a tough one, man, because when the government lies so much that it's hard to believe anything they say, especially when the media jumps all over a narrative right away and all pushes it in lockstep. So
Yeah.
that's why I consider anything a possibility, you know.
good.
And it's just with this case, there's certain threads like the drug angle, the Kopaka angle, and then the cop, you know, if that rumor is true, that's a massive one. Like,
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Joe. Like I mean, the thing I agree with you is if a cop was having a sexual relationship with one of the students that were murdered, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I agree with you. I don't. And I think you agree with this. I don't think that the cop himself is the one who killed all the kids. I just think it would be a contributing factor to why there was so many lies and cover up to hide the embarrassment to the department of an officer was involved in one of the students that was murdered. But I think it's huge because it can get to the bottom of then how far will you go to cover up your officer's involvement in this with one of the students, and how and will that lead to you maybe planting evidence on somebody to get somebody convicted so that you can just have this thing go away? Like, how far will you go to cover up your lie once you're caught in that lie? So
right, I agree 100%. It's just that I think really important rumors that have come up, if people are still going to keep looking into this case going forward, I think people need to, as we've said before, and people have said in the chat, pick a thread and pull that thread as far as you can. You
I
know,
am.
if you know, that's what I feel like. You have to pull on these individual threads and find if there's any truth to those particular rumors, because those things are massive and would explain a lot more, you know, about what really happened and why it seems so shady, everything that we've been told from day one.
And
So
I,
what
and
I
I
want,
think and I think I just want to jump in. You mentioned it the other day, Lee.
yeah,
I think this was one of the reasons why it's in the document. Ann Taylor wanted she wanted to get, you know, info from the cops' phones that were working that night. I think Ann Taylor she knows that's maybe not necessarily, you know, maybe she doesn't think, you know, maybe that Rosenthal committed the murders, but
right,
she knows that he was there, and that would it would prove it, because you'd see either a phone call or a text message between Tisdale and Rosenthal, which again would make absolutely zero sense because they're partners in the same car. So why would they?
yeah.
Why would he be calling? You know.
Yeah, and I agree with. I want to reiterate what you said. I don't think Ann Taylor thought an officer did the crimes. I think Ann Taylor knew that they were hiding shit and they were lying about what happened that night, and they were lying about officers' involvement, and all of that would have worked in her client's favor to show reasonable doubt. If you show that officers are trying to hide anything, that would show that you're willing to lie about what happened that night to hide your involvement, and then convict somebody that may or may not have been guilty because you're trying to hide your own embarrassment. So I don't think it means, like you said, it doesn't mean that Ann Taylor thinks an officer did it, but I think she knew. I think she was on the path of knowing that an officer had things to hide, and that was going to cause reasonable doubt in the part of the jury on well, if they're going to lie to cover that up, what else are they lying about with co-murder? So I want to ask, and so somebody's saying good night. Thank you, Mama's or Momo's thinking. So your good night, you guys. This was good. I want to say that one of the things that we've been doing lately, and I realize maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot that everybody's Idaho for, but I do cover multiple cases. Would you guys mind if I at least touch on a few of my other cases before we close out? If we want to come back to Idaho before we can, but would you mind if we talk a little bit about the Kirk situation?
Yeah, go ahead. You know, I'm very fascinated with the Rex case and Tyler
Yeah.
Tyler Robinson too. Yeah, go ahead.
So I got Tyler Robinson on tap here. Tyler Robinson, of course, is the alleged shooter. A lot of people have been talking about the guy that's in these pictures is not the same person as Tyler Robinson. It's a very similar situation as the Luigi Mangione case that I'm covering. But did you guys see this story about the Arizona teachers? This is a group of teachers at a high school that for Halloween had a white T-shirt like Charlie Kirk was wearing with blood down the left side of the shirt where his neck kind of exploded and bled, and it says "Problem solved." And these high school teachers all shot this photo together, and people are losing their shit at this high school and threatening the teachers with death and all kinds of stuff like that. Wow. Their counter is that, oh, we were just making a comment about a math thing. It was like it's a math thing. But have you guys seen this thing? And
no, I didn't see this.
No.
Oh my God, this story. So I mean, if you look at it, it seems to me that they're trying to make fun of that their problem, Charlie Kirk, has been solved with his assassination, and the blood stain is right down the side of the shirt that Charlie Kirk was shot on. And it seems very, very distasteful. Now, this is how it gets crazy. Their counter was, these teachers wore this same outfit last Halloween, a year ago, before Charlie Kirk was shot. So it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. But then someone said, well, show the creds on that. So they started showing pictures, and the pictures have clear evidence of AI manipulation with an extra foot or an extra hand in the pictures, 6 fingers instead of 5, clear AI manipulation where they're trying to make it look like they did this last year.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I just thought, this is a nuts thing. I just wanted to comment on it. I thought this is a, I don't know what to even think about. You guys have any comments or thoughts about that shit?
I would ask
wild.
I would ask those same people that claim that, I guess Kirk may have had some blood, which I believe was a blood pack. They may want to ask, why was there no blood on the person that they picked up? When member security tackled Charlie Kirk off the chair. Mm-hmm. The guy they lifted, as I keep saying, and a YouTuber showed you, no blood on the shirt. The shoes were brand new. Kirk was walking on their dirt and grass. So who did they pick up? I know it sounds crazy, but I think the feds had a dummy. I talked about this with Ellie in our interviews. DA knows this. And there was no blood going to the vehicles. If you get shot in the neck, and then you'd have blood. And the people that picked up whoever this was, there was no blood. And no Freedom logo on that white T-shirt. We remember Kirk had a Freedom logo on his shirt before he died. So was that an extraction removal operation? I believe that one was as well. Another hideous psyop conducted on us, the public. But I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to buy into that.
That's why we have you on.
Let me comment on that, TA. I've considered that for several reasons as a possibility. And as I always say, follow the money, right? Look at how Charlie's wife now is being just pushed along into more and more high profile situations. And there's talk about her getting into politics and things like that. But here's something to consider, just something to consider, because a lot of people have commented, the guys that were attending to Charlie, they didn't have blood on them. Right. And if you hit a carotid artery, you're going to bleed out. Right. It's going to be blood everywhere. So people think this kind of thing is crazy. But what if Charlie was starting to speak out against people that are proponents of a foreign nation that were some of the biggest donors to Turning Point USA? Right. What if they came to him and said, look, we got to we'll set everything right with you. We're going to give you a big payout. And then you're going to go right off into the sunset with your wife. Now, his wife, we're going to see this is all going to play out. So I'm not saying that this is definitely what I think happened, but we'll see it play out. If Erica Kirk all of a sudden down the road just slips into the shadows and out of the high profile, then we'll know something was amiss. But also, what if, this is a really crazy one, what if, hypothetically, she was like a mole, she was introduced to him by powerful people, and her family has connections, you know, with intelligence and military industrial complex entities. So what if she was connected to him because he was a high profile kid? We talked about this a little bit in the past, right? And people don't think this kind of thing happens, but if you understand espionage at all, it does happen. And so there've been movies made about it, you know, where they have these beautiful women that they, in Russia, they called them, what did they call them? The sparrows. In Russia, they'd get an attractive woman and they'd have her connect her to powerful people, right?
Yeah, they come to the United States sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, so
Yeah, they get
all I'm
secrets.
saying is,
Yeah.
there's a lot of very strange things happening since the alleged assassination. A lot. And a lot of power and big, huge money was involved with what Charlie Kirk was involved with. I mean, state level, you were talking about that level of money. So that, to me, could support a reason why, look, we don't want to take this guy out because he was a good soldier for us, but we can't have him speaking out about, you know, some of the biggest donors and foreign entities that were financially behind Turning Point. So you work out some kind of an arrangement. You know, I mean, we'll see. Watch what happens with Erica Kirk. That will explain a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you were on to it. You said, I think the last one of the streams ago, you said that don't be surprised if we see her down the line, you know, running for politics, or even you know, maybe her pushing for right, her being VP or something.
No, I don't think it'll happen. And the reason, in my opinion, why it won't happen, I could be wrong, but we know her background now, right? She started that non-for-profit, 17 years old, which is unheard of, Romanian Angels, U.S. delivering gifts to the orphans, right? U.S. military in Romania. She was on her Venmo page. She's kissing the orphans, this wonderful philanthropist. Meanwhile, she was the liaison delivering girls, and I don't know the exact ages, but they were very young, to military bases. There's a black guy on YouTube, I forget his real name's Aaron, I believe. He said, I delivered to military bases. And he's laughing and smiling, you know, saying that I almost don't want to say what he said, because most of the military are amazing. But he says the guys are dirty, the women are dirty, the women aren't around their husbands. He's a good looking black guy. The woman, you know, we're trying to, you know, do him. But anyway, so the question was, why are you delivering girls to these military bases? It's bizarre. And, you know, and then a woman came on YouTube. She never showed her face, guys. And she's from Europe. And she said about 86,000 children, she said, disappeared from Romania. And the Romanian authorities kicked out Erica Kirk. Did you guys know that? They kicked out her and her non-for-profit. So reason, logic, common sense, you could infer possibly sex trafficking going on. And then why is Erica Kirk marrying? She has a non-for-profit. Why is she marrying somebody that also has a non-for-profit? I always thought it was one big insidious intelligence operation. And
keep
again,
in mind, Jason, it's perfectly fine to say sex trafficking because you're.
Oh,
you're
good.
Okay,
thank you. Sorry, sex trafficking.
Spell it out. Yeah.
It's terrible.
There you go.
I shouldn't sugarcoat those words. Thank you. You're awesome. That's another reason why DA is amazing.
I wanted to, I've been highlighting this comment for forever. Lucy Morningstar has gotten the most mileage out of a comment because I've had it up here forever trying to find a moment to comment real quick. I don't want to downplay anything my panel is saying about their theories about Charlie Kirk and about what happened there and Erica and all those things like that. But I do want to plug real quick a series that I've got that Joe turned me on to the book One Nation Under Blackmail by, is it Whitney Webb? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turned me on to this 2-volume set. It's a heavy, deep dive. I'm doing a full book review chapter by chapter and giving my comments on it. And I have maintained it's like that comment we talked about earlier in the Idaho 4 case. Find a thread and then pull the thread. My thread is this has a lot to do with Charlie Kirk pushing for the release of the Epstein's files to know who was visiting the Epstein, who's on the list of the black books and the Epstein's files. And so for me, that's the thread I'm pulling. And so when the term honeypot came up in the chat, I was like, I got to talk about that. I got to plug my series, because again, the idea that Epstein was running a honeypot, compromising politicians in the United States government and high-level people in business with underage girls and getting them to do stupid things on camera, and then having blackmail and everyone, a page right out of way back when the FBI director was blackmailed and they had the FBI under their thumb for 30 years. All that stuff's covered in Whitney Webb's book. It's something that I personally do. And again, not to downplay what my guests are saying, what their thinkings are about what happened and whether or not it really happened or not. My thread that I pull a lot on is the Epstein files as being a major part of that. And if you're interested in that, check out my book series that I'm doing on One Nation Under Blackmail. It's a playlist on my channel. So thank you guys for sharing that as well. I know that we're losing a few people as we quit talking about Idaho, or as we talk for an hour and 35 minutes and they're like, I got shit to do. I wanted to bring up a few more things real quick on the Charlie Kirk situation. Let me see if I can pull this up on screen. This kind of relates to Idaho 4 for those who are kind of barely hanging on by a thread. They're like, I came here for Idaho 4. This will kind of relate. And here's why it relates. The cost of defending Tyler Robinson in this case is concerning citizens. They don't want to pay for the defense of Tyler Robinson. They think that he's a despicable human being that killed. They already believe the narrative. They already believe he killed Charlie Kirk, and they, the taxpayers in Utah, don't want to pay to defend the son of a bitch. So they're bitching about it. So they're talking about the cost of a trial. And again, the reason why this relates to Idaho 4 is because, again, there's high money involved in high profile cases that leads to a state trying to strong arm a plea deal because it will save the state so much money. These trials cost an enormous amount of money. And so there's pressure put on to get a plea deal to save the state a shit ton of money. And anything that's necessary to make that plea deal happen saves us money in the long run. Tyler Robinson's update, what the taxpayers' costs will be for the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin's case. Utah Commissioner weighs in. Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner said that Utah County has already spent just over $250,000. This trial hasn't even started, and over $250,000 has already been spent on this case. It may turn into a death penalty case. To sum up down here, the figure is expected, if you see this here, the figure is expected to double by the end of the year. That's not even done. The trial could be 2 years, they're thinking. By the end of the year, it's going to be probably $5 million in the next year and a half. So this trial is going to be enormously expensive. Another part of it was interesting is that none of the defense lawyers in Utah wanted to touch this case with a 10-foot pole. They put out a contract request saying, who wants to defend Tyler Robinson? No one wanted to touch it. So they're having a hard time finding right here. They got zero attorneys that want to touch this case. Why? Because it's not a low-level public defender's case. This case is going to cost a ton. It's going to require a death penalty qualified defense. So a lot of these people who start the case aren't going to be able to finish it because they're not death penalty qualified. So anyways, it just leads to the whole just how expensive a high-profile trial comes. And again, as a person who I personally focus on the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, it bothers me at a core that Americans would be upset about spending money defending someone against a crime. That we're like, hey, that's just too much money. I don't want to defend that piece of shit. I'm already convinced before he steps into a courtroom that he's guilty. So don't spend my taxpayer dollars defending the piece of shit because he's guilty. That bothers me on a fundamental level. I wanted to get your guys' feedback on how you feel about taxpayers. Do they have a legitimate bitch to say, look, we don't want to spend $5 million, $10 million on the defense of Tyler Robinson, who we know is already guilty? What are your feelings about the cost of these trials and whether or not taxpayers have a legitimate bitch? And if I'm missing something, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's that's assuming that you believe that this guy was even involved at all. Like, I wouldn't want to pay for the defense of a patsy that the feds put in there because they were carrying out or complicit in an operation, because even if, let's just say that our government and intelligence community, let's say they weren't involved, there's no possible way they weren't aware if there was an operation going on, right? There's no possible way. So they would have to at least be aware if an outside entity was going to, you know, a state level actor was going to carry out an assassination. They would have been aware because the intelligence agencies all work together. So I wouldn't want to be paying for someone's defense for a bunk fake trial, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to, whatever they do, just like if you believe the Koberger trial was a total scam and it was just theater, if this guy, Tyler Robinson, had nothing to do with it other than working for the feds in some capacity or being a patsy, whether witting or unwitting, I don't want to be paying, you know, if it happened in Colorado, I wouldn't want to be paying for a trial that's bullshit, that's completely fiction, you know? So yeah, a regular, if it's like normal situation, I mean, someone's entitled to, you know, a proper defense. But with all the bullshit that we see and the horseshit trials that we see that are totally shady, it really changes the way you think about it.
But I mean, maybe I'm missing this, but the problem is if Tyler Robinson is a patsy and he didn't do it, I can understand how you don't want to quote unquote waste taxpayers' money on defending a guy that didn't do it because he wasn't there. But if you don't defend him, they're just going to convict him, and then we just put him away, and it was a patsy, and it's over. So I mean, if you don't make an attempt to defend him, I mean, then aren't you just allowing them to put somebody away as the patsy without even putting up a fight?
Well,
no,
he's
because
he's going away. If he's a patsy, he's getting convicted. They're going to make sure of that if he is a patsy.
Yeah, I get.
But I think he'd probably go out the back door, like I think a Brian Koberger did. I think most likely he'll disappear, and you're not going to see real photos of him for the longest time in prison, rotting away. I think if he's really innocent and patsy, I think most likely he'll be on a jet plane or something, like I believe Charlie Kirk was. That plane that took off an hour, as you know, later with no transponders. You know?
Right. I remember that. That's a little discussed fact of the case that seems to be. I mean, I don't know if it's fact, but I've heard that many times.
And one last thing, one more thing, if I may say, because I'm going to forget. But you know, I'm hoping to interview Dr. Shiva one day. And he ran for president. I don't know if you guys knew this, as an independent there in the United States. He's trying to start a global bottoms-up movement for truth, freedom, health, lives in Massachusetts. But he said he learned from Alan McDonald, a famous astronaut, the most important thing in life is to tell the truth at the right time. When Kirk critiques that certain country of the genocide that took place on those Palestinians, we're not talking the average citizen, but the elites that did this genocide to get that land grab, 2.3 trillion. Kirk was mum on it for the last couple of years. It wasn't until the last month before he died where he did any critique in the lobbyists and this and that. So he didn't tell you the truth at the right time. And all these grifters, that's the red flag on a lot of these people. They don't tell you the truth at the right time. I hope you guys agree with that, somewhat that statement, but maybe you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's yes. I think it is key not just to tell the truth, but to tell the truth at the right time. That's the real courage. There's a lot of people that'll tell the truth when it doesn't matter anymore, and it's water under the bridge, and it's nobody's lives and careers are at stake. Telling the truth at the right time when it matters is the key.
Yes.
So
and to the right. And if you want a real movement, which I don't believe Kirk's was, I think some of his young followers were amazing people. I think some of them really wanted to change the world. He had a younger audience. I think you guys know this, right? For the most part. Yeah. But if you really want a bottoms up movement to change society, it's about telling the truth at the right time and to the right people to mobilize change. And the elites do not want that. And if you get to Kirk's level, you know, in my opinion, you're going to be controlled opposition in some way. You're most likely going to be working for the intelligence agencies in some way. And I think those are the questions I would have if I ever got in front of Kirk. You know, who were you really working for?
Yeah, we only have about 15 minutes left. I do want to give it seems like, and it's fair. Like if Idaho 4 is what people want to talk about, then we should stay with what people want to talk about. And if in this room wants to talk about Idaho 4, then we talk about Idaho 4. But I want to cover a few things because I've had some slides for like 3 days that I've been meaning to show, and they're already old news. I want to give it a shot to just talk about it briefly, so I can delete them out of my memory and be like, hey, I covered it. I don't know if you guys saw this in the. From what I understand, in the Tyler Robinson story, this particular screenshot, is that somebody's in the background that's doing the beeping?
I think that was me.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry about that.
So in the Tyler Robinson case, this was a supposed Discord thing from Zealous Monkey _5 is supposed to be actually Tyler Robinson's handle on a Discord. I thought it was interesting. Again, this is one of those things, if you're an internet sleuth and you don't already know about this, maybe you could have started poking down this thing. This quote was from him, supposedly, "Hey guys, I had some bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments." That's part of the official story and narrative. Thanks for all of the good times and laughs. You've been so amazing. And Lance Twiggs was the name of the individual. I had never heard the name until just recently on Harsh Reality doing this. Lance Twiggs was the apparent, I guess, transgender. Is that the name? Or they were transitioning from male to female. And apparently this is a picture of their place where they were staying, and they were, and freaking Harsh is spending all this time analyzing all the shit that's on the table and scratches and notebooks. I don't know that it's all that important, other than to say, I just wanted to make sure that those who are interested in the case, if you hadn't for some reason heard that Zealous Monkey 5 was supposed to be the username of Tyler Robinson, that Lance Twiggs was his lover, and all these things like that those names are out there in the wind, and I just wanted to kind of mention it. If you guys have any comments about it, let's make them brief, and I'll move on to Luigi Mangione. Do you have any comments about the?
I have one quick comment about Lance Twiggs. I mean, think about this. Lance Twiggs, when these alleged text messages came out and they identified his lover, roommate, Lance Twiggs was released right away, right?
Yeah.
And on a high profile investigation that the FBI is involved in, who gets brought in and released immediately,
right?
With no actual investigation if they might have been involved. Like, if in fact this is a real thing, you would investigate this person. You wouldn't immediately release them, and then they kind of disappear, right? Like nobody knows where they are now. So again, that's just another thing that happened in the very beginning that gets swept under the rug. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, why wasn't there more? I mean, you would think that they would have a million questions for this individual, so those are things to think about. Real quick, we'll cover a little bit of Luigi Mangione. I have a little small video clip we can maybe play of Rex Heuermann. It goes back to my story of riding the Lear, the Long Island Railroad, and when one informed me that, you can drink a beer in public spaces like on there, which is kind of funny because I just feel like I didn't know you could do that. Luigi Mangione's case, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, and it is a little lengthy, about the reasons why we need to fear Luigi Mangione's supporters. And this is part of the thing that bothers me, is the term supporters, because, and I'm trying to find, I think it's this page right here. This is the article from the Post, I think is the right one. Yeah, the reasons behind Gen Z's love of Luigi Mangione should scare everyone who cares about the future of America. What bothers me is I support, of course, the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and I think that this case is worthy of looking at, because the bigger question to me is, if that murder of Brian Thompson was committed because somebody felt that the health insurance industry is predatory and is killing people by the thousands, and they thought that maybe by killing one individual, they can help affect a change that could affect thousands or potentially millions in the future, then why do we keep acting like it's disgusting for people to have that discussion?
Like, why did we get to the point that the healthcare system is so predatory that someone thought that killing a CEO might be the only course that we have of action? And why do we continue to have nothing but hit pieces that accuse me of being a Luigi Mangione supporter? And what they're trying to imply by that is that I support vigilante justice, that I support murder, that I'm a disgusting human being because I'm celebrating and worshiping all these horrible shit ass lies about Luigi Mangione, saying that I worship him. I don't worship Luigi Mangione. I do believe in two things. Luigi Mangione should have the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Actually, three things. Second of all, he should have a fair trial, and you shouldn't have to break the law to put him away, and you shouldn't overcharge him and try to execute him when that murder is no different than any other murder that happened in New York last year. So why is this one a capital murder case? And then three, why is it wrong for us to have the bigger discussion? What happened wrong in society that it became acceptable for someone to think about this, whether it's Luigi Mangione or anyone else? And why is it wrong for us to have that discussion? So in this article, which is a little lengthy and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, they basically talk about how the younger generation, the Zoomers, as they call them, the Gen Z, is disillusioned. They think that life is shitty in America, that the elites are taking over, that the little people are being suppressed. And I agree. I agree with those general ideas, that there's a reason why they feel this way. And yet they want to say at the end of the day, we should all be disgusted and ashamed of ourselves that we feel this way. And it's a simple murder case. And Luigi Mangione needs to be executed for the crime. And I just feel like, I know how I feel about it, and it's not going to change. And I don't know that you guys want to go out on a limb on how you feel about it, but can you at least acknowledge, and if you can't, that's fine. Can you at least acknowledge from my perspective that you see my point, that maybe we should have that bigger discussion in America. It's not just a simple matter of did Luigi shoot him or not, but maybe we should have the bigger discussion about how bad has healthcare gotten in America, that this was considered something that might be a solution. Is there anybody want to weigh in on that?
Real quick, I just want to point out you did get a super chat, DA.
Yeah, thank you. I did see that. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way, from Angela K. Thank you. That I really, really appreciate that. And that was horrible of me to even have missed that for a moment. Thank you so much for the support. I wonder if did that come in when we started talking about Luigi or not? But
yeah.
Anyway, do you guys have feelings or thoughts? I mean, before you open your mouth, I understand a lot of people are really reluctant to say any fucking thing positive about Luigi Mangione because they think that they're celebrating murder. I want to make it clear. I don't think any one of you celebrates murder or believes in vigilante justice. What I'm asking is, can you understand how maybe it's okay to stop or to have the bigger discussion about how we got to this point? And is it okay to essentially put the health insurance industry on trial in a way by saying, how did it get so bad that this was something that somebody considered to be their only option?
So let me ask you something, DA. Do you think Luigi Mangione was the one who allegedly shot Brian Thompson?
My gut tells me Luigi Mangione didn't probably pull the trigger, but I think he was involved in it. That's my gut. But there's a possibility in my mind for sure that he did pull the trigger. But I said early on, and I still kind of believe it, that I think that the shooter was somebody different, and Luigi Mangione may be involved in it. So, yeah.
See, I get I get failed actor vibes from Luigi Mangione. Like, let's pick a guy who's good looking. Girls will like him, men will like him because he's supposedly gay, right? Like, it's just a little too convenient. It's always these people from connected to elite families or wealthy families or the Ivy League. It just seems a little suspicious. Like he was handpicked for this high profile case. So
I think he was handpicked.
Yeah, I don't believe he had, if I had to just had a gun to my head, I would say he had nothing to do with it, except he might be working with the intelligence agency.
Yes, there you go.
He didn't, because that's who they pick from. And that's one thing I know a little bit about. Just look at the history. They always pick from elite colleges. And it's very, very often, secret societies are drawn up with people from elite families. That's generally the
Right.
way it works. So,
Yes, and it's, excuse me, it's older universities. To your point, I learned this from Dr. Shiva, who went to MIT. Right, he's got 4 degrees, PhD, but places like Harvard, Yale, and probably, I'm sure, Moscow, Idaho. You know, that's a really old university in Idaho, right? University of Idaho. And also the university, as you say, with Manion. How do I say his name again? Luigi? I'll say his first name. Luigi
Yeah.
went to a very old university. So the point is, as Dr. Shiva said, in some of these older universities, they have a dossier on you, right? The university establishment, who they have a dossier on every student. So they would have known who he is, to groom him if they wanted for possibly this terrible, act that we saw happen, or at least be an actor in it, complicit, I find it
yeah,
pretty
I
fascinating.
agree. I think it's, look, I mean, people probably think, I always just think everything is an op. No, if it looks like an op, I'm going to say it looks like an op. I mean, if I see a case and it doesn't appear to be an op, but Luigi Mangione, Idaho 4, Charlie Kirk, those 3 cases to me are the most obvious ops I've ever seen. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
textbook.
Ops and
Like,
psyop, ops and psyops, baby. Yes.
yeah, I mean, psyops
Well-
are the new way, right? Because
Yeah.
you
Yep.
can look. You guys may be familiar with this term, but have you guys heard about like 5th generation warfare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5th generation warfare is like the latest version of how warfare is conducted, and it's information war. It's
Yes.
technical. It's all about psychological operations, social engineering, using
Well-
technology, and
It's
that seems to be happening more and more and more. So especially with AI, and I think that a lot of the things that we see that are, if it's connected to money, in my opinion, in any way, shape, or form, you always have to look deeper beyond the headlines. You have to dig a little bit deeper, because most people don't understand like corporate espionage and psychological operations and intelligence operations. They don't. Your average person, I know a lot of people, they don't even know what a psyop is. If you say the word psyop to them, they don't even know what you're talking about.
They just follow the mainstream media. It's like following
Right.
a herd of sheep.
So I'm sorry, DA. I didn't mean to go off.
No.
I just wanted
No,
to see what you really believed.
I'm glad you asked the question. I mean, and again, I guess in a way, the answer to your question about whether I think Luigi Mangione is involved or not, or the shooter or not, I think in a way the answer is I don't even fucking care. The bigger conversation in this case is this could be a landmark case in America, in my opinion. If Luigi Mangione, and I don't know that he's going to do this, but if Luigi Mangione's defense says, yeah, maybe Luigi Mangione did it, but you have to understand it was a matter of kind of a mental health issue, they're going to put the healthcare system on trial. They're going to have to explain to a jury how it is that Luigi Mangione got to the place where he thought that was acceptable, and it's going to bring to light the predatory practices of the health insurance industry. This could change. This case could be a simple case of somebody choosing the wrong seat on a bus that changes American politics forever. This is that kind of case, in my opinion, and that's why I think it's a huge thing. It doesn't even matter in some regards whether Luigi Mangione did it or not. Now, that's not to say that I'm trying to downplay Luigi Mangione as a man. If he's innocent, for fuck's sake, I want the guy to get a fair trial, and that's the important part. But what I'm saying is the bigger issue is this is a landmark case where we could potentially be dealing with a huge issue that people are missing by focusing on a pretty boy and whether he did it or not. You know what I'm saying? And that's
I don't think anything's going to change. Somebody in the comments just said everything is to get people fighting amongst each other, and I agree. Like all these cases, I certainly Charlie Kirk and the Luigi Mangione cases have a political component. And I say political because big business is political, right? Healthcare is political. So I look at Luigi Mangione case as being political as well. And I
So-
said this on one of our past streams. Wouldn't it be a good way to sort of placate the peasants to have this handsome guy, Robin Hood style, come in and take out an evil CEO, right?
Yeah.
Rather
Yeah.
than having to actually change the system, you feed the peasants some breadcrumbs and give them their little hero for a while. Wouldn't that be more effective than trying to cut down an industry that a lot of politicians are getting a lot of money from, undoubtedly, in donations and probably bribes?
Now, I hope this comes off. I'm going to show something on the screen next. I want to share something, and I hope to God I got the audio working, because it's important. Audio is important on this video I'm going to show. Part of the reason why this is so personal to me is if I talk about the constitutional issues and how the prosecution is violating Luigi Mangione's constitutional rights over and over again by eavesdropping on attorney-client privilege calls, overcharging him, calling him a terrorist when terrorism doesn't apply, all the shit that they've been doing to Luigi Mangione, illegal arrest in Pennsylvania, in my opinion, 100% illegal arrest. If we're going to do all that shit to convict him, it bothers me that people demonize me as somehow celebrating a murderer because I believe in defending the Constitution. But did you know, as a Seahawks fan, that the Seahawks are celebrating murderers as well? Did you hear that the Seahawks are celebrating Luigi Mangione as a murderer? Because I got to show you this. This was killing me. This video that I'm going to try to show on screen proves the Seahawks celebrate murder. Cross your fingers. We got audio on this. Hold on.
Luigi.
So did you hear them saying Luigi on that call?
Twice, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been pointed out that what the Seahawks were doing right there, it was called a kill call. It is when you have a designed play and you'd want to kill the play and go to their secondary backup play because you saw that the defense lined up in a certain way. So you're killing the first call and you're calling in a second play. And they're saying the Seahawks are literally calling their kill play Luigi, because he killed somebody, and they're celebrating the murder of Brian Thompson. For fuck's sake, people, are you kidding me? Like, how did that get to be a thing? Apparently, it also could be just that they're saying left side. You just say Luigi for left side on the But this is how far I think some people will go to demonize anybody that and to the point of saying that the Seahawks celebrate murder because they're calling Luigi during the football game last week. So I just thought it was fucking, I don't know. I had to share it. I thought it was funny.
I always think, DA, when you show the picture of and that was funny, when you show the picture of all the cops surrounding Luigi, I always, I have PSYOP just flashing in my mind. Again, that highly emotionally charged PSYOP, because that's what that picture, and you guys talked about politics and how these cases evolve around politics in some ways. And as you say, DA, with the court case coming up, it could change policies in ways, right? I think you were implying.
Yeah.
As part of a PSYOP, remember, it's a military or political tactic that uses communication and other non-combative means to influence a target audience's emotions, behaviors, and attitudes. And I could go further in the definition of a PSYOP as I've done before, but I just wanted to put that out there. And it's a very important part of the diplomatic, military, and political aspects in the United States and every sovereign nation, really, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think it's these cases to me that I'm covering. I mean, sometimes I get accused of defending the bad guy. It's funny how many times when I tell people what I do and I say I'm a YouTuber doing true crime, they're like, "Oh my God, I love true crime," and then they find out that I'm actually presuming someone's innocence until proven guilty, and they're out. I'm out. Like, what they mean by they love true crime is they want to see how they caught the bad guy. They're not really interested in hearing that the bad guy might not have been the bad guy or was wrongfully convicted or wrongfully accused. That does not interest most people. I think I found out when they're into true crime, they're not necessarily into the presumption of innocence part. They're into how did you catch the bad guy and put him away.
And operations like if you believe what I believe, And what I always say is like, look at what happens after them. What's been ramping up? I say this all the time: predictive policing and domestic surveillance. So anytime a big op like that happens, it gives them quote unquote, the powers that be, ammunition to try to increase power, basically, with surveillance. It's manufacturing consent, right? Like, oh, we really need to keep a close eye on people's internet activity because look what happened with Luigi Mangione. Look what happened with Tyler Robinson. It's really just and then somebody mentioned something in the chat about IGG. We talked about Othram. Like, Othram Labs is like this big business enterprise now that's going to be pushed around the country and probably around the world, right?
Yeah, and they got the LA. You have the LA one that is, I believe, fraudulent. That says Scott Peterson, they're fighting that he could be innocent. So, but Othram, I think, is usually the real deal over there. Sorry to interrupt.
Speaking of Othram Labs real quick, and I'm going to cover one little small piece of Rex Heuermann, and then we'll wrap up for the night, because I wanted to give it I'm making efforts to do two things tonight, which is one, actually touch on all the cases and not just one during my show, and two, practice me playing videos that have audio and stuff like that to make sure that I'm getting, I understand how to use the tool. So I got one more video with sound. I'm going to see if I can pull this shit off and do that on the Rex Heuermann case, and it relates to my visit to New York, so I thought I'd share that. And where was I going before that? Fuck, I don't know. I was gonna get back to something else in a second, and now I've lost.
Oh, you're thinking of it. I meant to say I misquoted. I was referring to the LA Innocence Project. You know that one?
Yeah. Oh,
there's a lot of questions about them. They seem to be all about the money right now. And again, they're trying to plead that Scott Peterson is innocent. That crime that maybe one day we could cover. If you guys are ever interested in the Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson case, which is pretty fascinating.
My wife was major obsessed with the Peterson case.
All right.
I'd like to dive into that.
Awesome.
But, I remember what it was I was going to talk about earlier was just on the Idaho 4 was the Othram Labs. I was a little disappointed to find out that a major, website, Web Sleuths, which is designed for true crime people to kind of get together in the community and try to research things and put their hats together, websleuth.com, is now partnering with Othram Labs. So now Othram Labs is going to use one of the major platforms for YouTubers and all the the true crime fanatics who want to help break cold cases. And Othram Labs is going to work with you now with Web Sleuths to help break cold cases and get that DNA evidence to convict people of cold case crimes, which kind of bothers me because I was kind of excited about Web Sleuths as being a tool that I would want to use, but I'm not sure how I feel about being in bed with Othram Labs. So
slippery slope. Yeah.
It is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to share real quick on the Rex Heuermann case, if I can pull this off, is this video.
What a monster.
So this is one of those, do you see this? You see the video on screen?
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
I'm going to go. Yeah, it's not about the lady. Oh. It's not about the lady. Thanks for sharing that. So anyways, we're going to play a video. Hopefully it has sound. It's one of these things that's like when the media doesn't have any, and it's funny because I'm doing the same thing, right? I'm like, when I don't have anything to talk about Rex Heuermann, I'm going to play a thing. When the media has nothing to talk about Rex Heuermann, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull out somebody who was on a train with Rex Heuermann and how creepy he was because he was on the train. But I wanted to share this just for a moment because I thought it was kind of funny. It did lead to the whole thing. The reason why it's cool for me is, as one knows, I had never been to New York. I got to come out. I got to ride the Lear, the Long Island Railroad. This image is a woman telling a story about seeing Rex Heuermann 2 years before he was arrested as the Long Island serial killer. I'll just play a little piece of, well, actually, I might play the whole thing. It's only like 2 minutes long.
Now, the young woman who was sitting on an empty commuter train when a hulking older man sat right next to her. He gave her the heebie-jeebies, so she started taking video just in case. Then she got the shock of her life when she turned on the news and saw who that mystery man was. Stephen Fabian has more.
This commuter says she was creeped out when this guy sat next to her on the train. Recognize him? 21-year-old Kaylin Morales had just gotten on the train at Grand Central Station in New York City. She says she was the only passenger in the entire car. Suddenly, a hulking dude carrying a large can of beer took the seat right next to her.
Initially, it was just me and him in the car, and I just thought that, you know, he could have sat anywhere else. He didn't have to sit directly next to me, and it just made me feel uneasy.
So who was the middle-aged man who sat down next to Caitlin? Well, just 12 days later, he would become the most notorious accused serial killer in America, who cops are calling the Gilgo Beach Killer of Long Island. You got your feet up on the seat. This guy comes and sits next to you. What happens next?
When he sat down, I got uncomfortable and I removed them. And he was like, "You don't have to move your pretty legs, I won't bother you."
Kaylin says she felt so uncomfortable, she took out her phone and started recording just in case. The date was July 1st, 2023. Imagine Kayla's shock when front pages across the USA announced the arrest of Rex Heuermann. He has since been charged with the slaying of 7 women whose bodies were discovered in the dunes at Gilgo Beach.
When I compare,
Hey, one and I drove that same stretch that they showed there for a second. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It brings back memories. We drove that together.
well,
You and I
let's,
drove it at night.
Yeah, looks familiar.
compared it to the photos that I saw online of him, it was identical. My heart like completely sank to my feet.
What did that feel like?
I was just so grateful that nothing happened because he had done so much like crazy things to these girls. And I was so thankful that I got away from that situation.
Rex Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him.
So anyways, I mean, it's not a big deal. I think more than anything, I just want to practice playing audio as videos. I'm assuming you heard the audio and the video. Again, for me, that trip was a very cool thing because now when I watch the news and I see Rex Heuermann on the Lear, I was on the Lear. They talked about the stops on the way to Massapequa that I remember. I remember all those places, Jamaica and which was like a transfer station kind of thing, and all these. And I'm like, I've been there, done that. I've been on that train. And I was laughing with one when I said, you can't just pull a beer out there on the train. He's like, yeah, he actually can. And but anyways, the whole thing was funny. But it also was funny. Like this woman's telling a story that at the end of the day is it's nothing. You saw a guy on a train and he creeped you out kind of thing. And the reporter's all like cringy, like, oh, how creepy it was that he sat right next to you kind of thing. And I just,
Do you think it's possible, excuse me, or is it a very low probability, but I'm wondering, could it be the cops actually had her? My conspiracy mind is thinking, did the cops have her placed on the train because they were doing this in big investigation? They were going to, arrest Rex, and they have her come out with this later on this video so that they can play that on the news, and make him even more of a villain because he is a despicable man.
I don't know. I think that would be hard for me to go down that road, but that's just me, the way I think. But yeah, I mean, this is why we have you on the show, because you can think a little differently than I do.
Psyop, man.
It's a long game with Rex Heuermann. But yeah, I think after Rex Heuermann got identified as the potential Long Island serial killer, a lot of people have been coming forward with their stories of, hey, holy crap, when I saw that guy on TV, I realized I had a run-in with him, and I had a run-in with him. And that's, John Ray, the attorney who represents the families of Shannon Gilbert. I met with him when I was in New York and had a great conversation with him. He also had, at least 3 individuals come forward and give affidavits saying, I've had run-ins with Rex Heuermann, and police officers as well that knew Rex Heuermann. That was an interesting part of that story. It's a super interesting part of that story. And it was cool to go on a ride along with 1-1. Not a ride along in the traditional sense. I didn't get to sit in the squad car because they don't allow outsiders to come into New York and ride around and plus I think we'd be out of our jurisdiction riding around Gilgo Beach anyways. But I did get a law officer to sit in the car next to me. Super honor. Thank you again, 1-1, for that and for the honors of that day. What a great day that was for me. So I appreciate that so much. Do you guys have any parting thoughts as we wrap up? I mean, Idaho 4, we've talked a lot about it. We talked before some of our guests came on. We did talk a little bit about Mickey Steins. For the first time on a live, I've covered all 5 cases in some little bit. Even if we did spend 3/4 of the thing talking about Idaho 4, we at least touched on all the cases that I talk about. For those in the audience, by the way, I want to give you even though I'm wrapping up, if you've got a last minute question, please fire it at us right now so we can get those questions answered of the panel that's here before they all take off. Any thoughts from you guys having a closing thoughts? Robin, do you want to give any closing thoughts?
Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna do housekeeping. Just subscribe to the channel because DA has hella great stuff coming up. You're not gonna want to miss it between all of his cases. So sub to the channel, hit that like button, send up some hearts, all that good stuff. So, and thanks,
Thank you so much.
everybody for coming out.
Hey, DA, I wanted to drop a little something about Idaho 4, because I say often, the further away you get from a case, the more cloudy things get, because there's a lot of different details that come out and that muddy the waters oftentimes. But the one thing that I've always, talked about all along in the Idaho 4 case is the influence of the school, right?
Yes.
That's a multi-billion-dollar organization that's tied to the banking industry, right? Because with student loans and funding and all those types of things, any university is directly tied to the banking industry, which is very far-reaching, and it's a big, big umbrella. So the school would also have a lot of motivation to make sure that certain things didn't get out. Like, it could be any number of the things we've all talked about, but there might be certain storylines that would be more detrimental to the school. Like if it was somebody that worked for the school, or if it was something that was more connected to the school, like, like Murder Metal Mayhem has talked about a lot, the frat theories and things like that. They would have a lot of motivation to cover that type of stuff up. Same thing with law enforcement wanting to cover up certain things. But the school kind of gets pushed into the background now and nobody ever talks about it. But that's a multi-billion-dollar entity that would have a lot of sway over what happens with that story all along from beginning to end.
By the way, I want to say something real quick before we wrap up with Jason Estes and 1-1. When I was live with Birdie Bombshells, and I know a lot of people, probably 3/4 of anybody at any given time who was watching my channel met me through Birdie Bombshells channel. When we were on Him and I on Birdie's show, someone said, somebody needs to go to Moscow and go hang out at the corner club and have some drinks and hope people get loose lips and start talking. Joe and I are literally going to go out there and I'm going to drag his ass to the corner club and we're going to have some drinks and we're going to sit there and just see if people get loose lips. Why not?
Right.
I say we do it. I say we go to the corner club and have some drinks and hang out there. We'll be the two creepy old guys that they're like, these guys are in there trying to hit on college girls. But maybe somebody will sit down and go like, I fucking recognize you. Let's talk.
Maybe you do a hidden camera, DA.
I don't think you're not allowed in Washington State, or well, that's Idaho, but at least in Washington State, you're not allowed to take a camera and record inside of a bar. So I bet it's probably the same in Idaho. But
a lady friend of mine, I would love to see that. I hope you guys do that. A lady friend of mine, I just want to say real quickly for what it's worth, she is very irritated right now with Olivia Gonzalez and all her videos. And she claims, I guess, Olivia's lost a lot of weight with some it's a potentially very dangerous procedure that she's had done. Anyway, Olivia Gonzalez is, she's just, I don't know what my point is, but I never trusted her, let's put it that way, with what she was saying about her sister in that, in court. But that's just my opinion there. I think it was all largely an act. And I think the good news, if my theory is correct, which I think it is, people can agree, disagree. I think she knows that her beautiful sister is alive and well in another country with the other three. But
great closing comment from you. And 1-1, do you have any closing comments on the show tonight?
Yeah, so to piggyback off of kind of along the lines of what JJ was talking about. So with the Idaho 4, one thing that's super, interesting to me and should be one of the many red flags, but a super red flag, is this whole idea of the house being sold to the university, and then it just gets knocked down. Like, when in history, how could possibly a house that had, 4 homicides, and we're waiting to possibly go to trial, and the house gets knocked down? Huge red flags. And again, like what level? Like why is the house even being sold to the universe? Like I don't know. Just again, I think JJ's right on the money there. It's a strong possibility it has to do with big money and along that line. I think there's a bigger picture going on.
I want to there's only like 30 people in here, but the people who are here, I think probably most of them are going to be Idaho 4 followers. Because I mean, again, most of the channel is Idaho 4. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to take a quick poll on the way out. When I go to Moscow, Idaho, and Pullman, Washington, should I or should I not wear my zipper hoodie that says Devil's Advocates on my YouTube channel on the back of my thing? Should I go incognito? Or should I wear my merch? One, if you think I should wear my merch and proudly walk down the streets of Idaho and around the neighborhood where the house was torn down with my YouTube channel advertised right on the side where they can go, what the hell's that guy's YouTube channel? Or that's the motherfucker that said this or that. One, if you think I should wear my merch. Two, if you think that's a really horrible idea and I should go incognito and look a little bit like Pavarotti with the hoodie and the sunglasses like Joe's got going on. One,
if I can bring my gun with me, DA, then you could wear the Devil's Advocates hoodie.
Yeah, there's no reciprocal license, I don't think, for Idaho. Otherwise, I could maybe bring my and it may, I don't know if Idaho's an open carry. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, you guys go there, you're gonna have to come up with something like, so you could leave some kind of breadcrumbs or something for us.
It looks like most of the audience. Here's the thing. I think I should be flattered. Most of the audience apparently wants me to stay alive, so they're saying don't go advertise that you're Devil's Advocates walking downtown. You probably should go incognito. Thank you guys for caring about my safety. Because if you didn't give a shit, you'd be like, dude, you should go down there and scream it out. I think Kohlberger's innocent, and see what happens.
Better yet, get some T-shirts made up. Kohlberger's innocent. And we'll walk around Idaho. We get killed for sure.
Yeah, maybe you guys could take Payne out for a beer. Get
I end up in jail with Kohlberger.
I'm on Payne's radar after saying that he was a fucking bastard in one of my videos. I did try to retract it, but I think it was a little too late. Thank you guys for coming on the show. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you. It was a great evening. Thank you so much. We'll do it again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. same time. Tell your friends, get people to show up. I'm trying to build a thing here, so let people know it was entertaining. If you thought it was entertaining, give a like, a subscribe, all those good shit. Jason Estes and Estes Crime Maze, give that a go look at and sign up for his channel as well. And everybody, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you again next time.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.